Hello, my crafty friends. Well, today I have a fun and simple way you can add a little pizzazz to your card making. Hi, it's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. In this episode of Stamptastic TV, I have two different ways that you can create a little pop-up section for your cards. So this is just a regular size card, but it has a fun little pop-up section. So the card actually stands on its own, and it has a little 3D section added to the front. So this 3D section is super simple to create, and it just adds a really fun look to your cards. Now the cards in this video feature the On the Horizon stamp set from Stampin Up. And the cards also feature some of the fun Horizon dies, which of course coordinate with this particular stamp set. And one of my favorite things about these cards is the new Horizons Designer Series paper. So this particular paper has just a variety of different images that just look like landscape. So I just thought it was perfect for this pop-up style card. Now all of these products are part of the new Horizons suite from Stampin' Up, so I highly recommend you check it out. All right, so let's get started and I will show you how to make these gorgeous cards. Okay, so let's start with this portrait style card. So as you can see, it has like this little shelf here, and this piece just kind of folds right up onto itself. So you can easily put this in an envelope for mailing. So I really like that about this little section here. And then when the recipient receives it, they can just pop this out, and they have a cute little 3D card. And it's also on a regular card base. So the card does open up. You can write a personalized message on the inside, stamp some fun things, or however you want to decorate it. So it is a regular style card. It just has this little 3D section. So let me show you how to make this. So the first thing you're going to do is cut a piece of cardstock for the base of your card. So I'm using soft succulent. And you're just going to cut it at 4 1/4 inches by 11. And then you're going to score it in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. So this will be the base of our card. Okay, so you're going to start with a 6 by 6 inch piece of one of the pattern papers from the new Horizons Designer Series paper pack. And then the first thing you want to do is just cut it down to the size of the card. So this is 4 1/4 inches across the top here. So I just want to cut this side at 4 1/4 inches so that it perfectly fits on my card. Okay, so once you cut that, then you're going to cut a 1 1/2 inch piece off the bottom. So I want to use this 1 1/2 inch piece as my little front for my 3D part of my card. So I'm just going to cut that off the bottom, and then I'll use this up here on the top. Okay, so we'll set these aside for the moment. The next thing you're going to do is cut a 4 1/4 by 5 inch piece of the same color cardstock that you're using for the base of the card. So I'm using the soft succulent. So next you're going to take this piece, you're going to put it in your paper trimmer so the 5 inch side is up towards the top. So this is the 4 1/4, this is the 5. We'll start by scoring at 3/4 inches. And then you can scoot this over to 1 3/4 and then score again. And then we will move our paper over to 3 1/4. And then the last score line will be 4 1/4. Okay, so we have all of our score lines. I'm just going to fold on all the score lines so you can see what this little section looks like. So we're basically creating this little box that we're going to attach to the front of our card. And like I said, the cool thing about it is it will fold down and go flat with the card. So this top part here is 1 1/2 inches. So I'm going to bring back my pieces here. So this is where this piece is going to go. This 1 1/2 inch piece that we cut off of our designer paper. It's going to go right on the front of our box. So I'm going to adhere that right away. So that's going to be the front section of the box. And then these other sections, this is just a 1-inch section, and then the 2 sections that are in back are 3/4 inches. So I'll show you how to adhere this in just a moment, but we need to do a little stamping first. So I'm going to be using some basic gray to do my stamping. So we'll start out by just stamping these little birds right up on the top of our designer paper here. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to adhere this right to my card front. So this piece of paper is going to cover up the entire top part of our card front. And don't worry about this extra little bit on the bottom. That's just fine. So the next thing I want to do is I want to adhere our little 3D section. So I'm going to start by adhering this flap first. And so this will get adhered to the bottom part of our card. So we'll just line it up right with the bottom and adhere it. So I'm going to add some glue on this little flap here. And then we'll just adhere that. So we want this to be flush with the bottom of the card. So here's where I adhered it, right here. And now we're going to take this other little flap and we're going to adhere it on the inside of the card, and we're going to adhere it right up against the other flap. So I don't know if you can see that, but this will just get adhered together and it'll create this fun little box on the front. So I'm going to go ahead and add some glue here. And then I'll try to turn the card so you can see what I'm doing. And we'll just adhere it right about there. So if you can see on the inside, you can see the little seam on the inside where the 2 pieces meet. And that's it. So that's how you create this little box part on the front of your card. So I cut a couple of little landscape pieces from some soft succulent cardstock. And so these pieces I'm just going to adhere kind of on the bottom here. But before I do that, I want to stamp my little trees right in the center there. So I'm going to be using some soft succulent ink. And I'm going to use this little tree image. And so I kind of want to use these little pieces here as a guide. So we're going to stamp right about here. And then these little pieces are just going to go over the top and kind of just provide that little bit of landscape there. So I'm going to just adhere these pieces. So we'll adhere this one first, and then we'll add some glue to this one. And this will go on this side. And then we can just trim off the excess here. Okay, so here's what our card looks like so far. So now I'm going to add a little greeting. So when we cut off the side here to add this piece to our card front, we had a little leftover piece which I just cut in half. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to stamp on it using basic gray. So I'm going to just stamp a little thinking of you right on this piece. So I'm going to get some of it on the yellow and some of it on kind of the pinkish color. So I wanted these pieces to just blend in with the colors and the design that's on our card. So I'm just going to trim these down. So the nice thing about this is you can trim down your words and then use them however you want to on your card. So see how this blends in with the yellow? and it blends in with the pinkish color. So that's what I want. So I'm just going to add a little dimensional here and a little dimensional there. And then we'll just adhere our greeting kind of off center, and it'll just blend in with the background. Cute. Okay, so let's do our little finishing touches here. So the next thing I did is I just cut out these two little fence shapes from a piece of crumb cake cardstock. So I'm actually going to put these right on the front here. And so I decided to just add glue to the bottom parts because I want this to be 3D. So I just want to adhere a little bit of our fence to the front here. And then we'll do the same on this side. Let's add a little bit of glue. And we'll put this one off this side. And then for the finishing touch with this card, I just decided to add some of these little pebbles, these little stones. So we will add some of these real quick. So you can just push the card down and just kind of add your little stones wherever you want to put them. We'll just add one right there. And we'll do one like that. Okay, so that is what our card looks like. And like I said, it'll stand up, so you just have to push this down. The card will stand. And then the card will also fold down for ease in mailing. So super fun, lots of different ways that you can use this. So if you want to decorate the inside of the card, this is one idea for you, but there's lots of different ways that you can decorate it. All right, so now let's talk about how to create this in landscape styles. So instead of creating it this way in the portrait style, I simply turned the card base and we're gonna create it in this landscape style. So the measurements are a little bit different, both for the pop-up section and how to start out with your card base. So let me show you how to do this. So this time you're going to start with a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock. You're going to score it in the middle at 4.25 inches to create the base of your card. So there's the base. And then our pop-up section is going to be a little different as well because we want it on the 5.5 inch side, not the 4.25. So your pop-up section is going to be a little wider. So this is 5.5, and then this side is still 5 inches. So the scoring for this is exactly the same. So you're going to score it at 3/4 inches, 1 3/4 inches, 3.25 inches, and 4.25 inches. So the only thing that has changed is just the edge of it. It's 5.5 by 5. Whereas the other one was 4.25 by 5. And so it's the same concept. You just have a longer 3D section that's going to go across the bottom of the card front. So for this card, I used a different piece of pattern paper. And so I wanted this part of my pattern paper up on the top. And then I wanted this bottom section here to be the front of my 3D section. So first you're going to cut this down to 5.5 inches wide because you want it as wide as your card base. So just cut this down to 5.5. And then you want to take and you want to cut a 1.5 inch strip off the bottom. So here's what the pieces will look like. So this is the piece that's going to go on our 3D section. And then this is the part that's going to go on our card front. So we'll adhere the little 1.5 inch piece of designer paper to the center of our little 3D section. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp some little birds up on the top here using Evening Evergreen ink. And then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere this to our card front. So again, we're going to adhere a little 3D section by starting on the bottom. So I'm going to just adhere this part first. So you want to line this bottom section up with the bottom part of your card front and then just adhere it. And then you want to take this top section, this little flap, we're going to fold it over and we're going to meet it up with the other section on the inside. And remember, you can fold it down just to kind of adhere it. And now you have this fun little 3D flap that folds both directions. So it folds back this way or it folds back this way. So again, you have another card that will go completely flat for mailing. Okay, so let's finish decorating it. So this time I cut out some of those little fence shapes using some white cardstock. So we will adhere these in the same way. We'll put this on this side. And then we'll put our other little piece on the other side. And then we have our little pop-up section. So doesn't that look so cool? I mean, the cool thing about this paper is you don't really have to do a whole lot with it. It does a lot all on its own, just really pretty. And then the last thing I did is I took that little strip that we cut off the side. So this was on this side of the card because this was a 6 by 6 inch piece of designer paper. So I just took that little strip and I stamped this little breathe greeting right in here. And so again, I'm just gonna trim this down and then I'm gonna go ahead and pop it up on the card. So you can see it has a little bit of that green on the side here. So it just kind of blends in right with the, part of my designer paper. So it looks like it's supposed to be there. Then the last thing I'm gonna do is just add a couple more of these little stones, these little pebbles. So we'll just throw a couple of these on here. So there you go. So now this is what the card looks like when it's kind of folded up, and then this is what it looks like when you straighten it out a little bit. And of course this one stands up as well. So just really pretty. You don't have to do a whole lot to make just an absolutely gorgeous card. And if you want to decorate the inside of the card, this is just a fun way to use up some designer paper and decorate the inside of the card. Okay, so there you go. Now you have two different ways you can use this fun little 3D pop-up section in your card making. And if you enjoyed these card ideas, feel free to download the printable tutorial. You can find the link in the description below this video. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking it and sharing it with your friends. And leave me a comment below to let me know what you enjoyed most about the video and the cards shared here today. Have a fun and creative day, my friends. Take care.